Yeah, my ear goes up, it goes down, depending on how hot I am.
On behalf of the program committee, I shake your hand, won't hold it. I want to welcome you to our rainy day activity. As you all know, the arts are alive and well in the Saunders.
Closer.
Okay, here we go again. We have the wonderful art show. We have a wonderful instrument in the lounge here, and we have available to us close by the opera, the ballet, and the symphony. We also have in-house a wonderful poet who we're going to have a getting to know you for a second session with Sally Love Saunders, who is not only a poet herself, but has spent a lifetime teaching others how to love poetry and to write poetry. She's going to give us a demonstration of her work. Sally.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you for coming. Is the sound right for everyone?
Terrific.
Oh, good. Okay, here we go. And thank you to the program committee very much. The theme of my talk is that we're all poets. You. Everyone's a poet. And I'd like to start by sharing with you my own poems and selected poems for writing groups in schools and hospitals. By the way, the photos of the children are from years ago when I was actively involved in teaching children. I guess I didn't have to explain that because that's me years ago. I'd like to talk about my techniques for teaching poetry writing and then explain to you what poetry therapy is. First, a poem by David Gregory, a frequent attendee at my poetry readings, workshops, and festivals, who's been here at the Towers as a guest of Mel Flyer. David Gregory wrote the following poem in a poetry writing workshop and gave me permission to share it with you today. 10 reasons the world needs poetry. One needs the muse to make life endurable. What better way than learn to recite and sing when hears the tramp of feet on pavement, the heartbeats to the rhythm of words that ring. In the humdrum existence we live and breathe, poetry lifts us as if we're on the wing. It can console a wounded, hapless soul, give life to better thoughts, to do better things. Then die and so exist from the world. Poetry can give life to nations. Long thought dead, awaken people from long slumber, stir the complacent into action, the rights, the wrongs of ages past. To make a better tomorrow to the coming revolutions that will shake the height and mighty like ripe fruit from a tree. David Gregory, 10 Reasons the World Needs Poetry. When he read that, I said, oh, I gotta borrow that for my talk, please. Now I'd like to read you some of my own poetry, please. I've been writing poetry since the first grade. Over 350 of my poems have been published in such places as the London Times, the New York Times, and the Christian Science Monitor published my lesson plan for teaching poetry writing. Here goes, my poetry. Mrs. Diggory, in first grade, my sitting on the edge of the chair, to the tip of the chair, the very edge of the tip of the chair, chewing a pencil, listening as she shared the magic of words. I'm a word painter. I'm a word painter. I carve sentences out of soapstone and rub my hand over them until they are smooth. I'm a balloon woman, Many colorful balloons follow me. I can choose which idea, which plan, or which person to see at whim. Easily, I can let one balloon float away. And I can let the air out. I'd like to be a squirrel. I'd like to be a squirrel, easily running up and down tree trunks. I'm a gold panner, finding gold nuggets of poetry in people who thought there weren't any. The next poem I'm sure you can all identify with. It's called Downsizing. A poem or a song should be written about downsizing. When I was a teenager, the buzzword was junior prom. Then it was talk about getting married, then having babies. Now I'm in my 70s and have many friends there too. What do we talk about now? Downsizing. Downsizing has created a new look for my apartment. Parts of it look new, like a minimalist would have. Giving away treasures to younger family or friends ensures the treasures have a longer life. Like at Easter time now with me hunting for places to put treasures. Downsizing has its own beat. First, music of act is slow. Then it gets going. It picks up speed. Downsizing, a song or a poem, should be written about downsizing. I enjoy taking ordinary items and building a poem around them. I do this in classes. I have people embroider poems around simple objects. Everything is grist for the mill for a poem. Everything is grist for the mill for a poem. Here's a poem about windshield wipers. We're two windshield wipers going opposite ways. When the sun is out, we're both down the same. Then the wind howls and the storm clouds gather. We go at each other and get all out of alignment. Also, there are times you reach one direction and me the other. We're two windshield wipers going opposite ways. We have all known people who have cooked delicious meals for us or watched magic shows. Now it's my turn to bring you freshly written poems. Hope to smell like freshly baked bread. I'm a cook with words. My recipes are my soul, my heart, voices. I think you'll be able to relate to this one too. It's called Mummy. Mummy. Mummy, I am you when you were me now. Then I was young and you were old. Now I am old, like you used to be. I am you like you were when you were me now. Senior circus. There is a senior circus. I'm sure you know what I mean. Those seniors who dazzle us with amazing acts like going to Rome off the surgery table and running of marathons in their 70s and working with sharp minds into their 80s. Well, there is a senior circus, and I'm sure you know what I mean. But I am an old, lazy, senior southern dog, swatting flies in the shade. I cannot dazzle you with any amazing circus acts, just smiles. This morning, I received an email from a friend who said he has stress in his life. Stress? The current fashion. I'm thinking of women who wore corsets and bones in their bras. That was the fashion then. I remember having to sleep face down on the pillow because of metal hair rollers in my hair, because curly hair was the fashion then. So, today, stress and uncertainty, the fashion. Oh, I'm having the best time up here. I feel like a bird in a bird bath. Can you see my goosebumps? You're the best audience. Thank you so much. I never knew my grandmother, but my mother showed me her home and her lace. and even the lace my aunt inherited, as though the lace was my grandmother's footprints and fossils of her being. I do not own any lace. My poems are my fossils, to hopefully be looked at in future generations. The moon. The moon weaves a spider's web from grass to grass. The moon lavishes velvet over the valley. The moon on the ocean rolls like oil on water. One can say a word and it is gone, but a word on mist can cling and haunt the area like the moon. Quiet, so healing, like bubbling water that takes the kinks away and purifies them over the rocks. They drop out of the stream, forming sand. That too becomes lovely. Quiet flows in its own colorless rhythm. Bathing in quiet, soaking in its rays, massaging my being and strokes. Beautiful round full moon, hiding behind the shade of the cloud, so that all that peeks out has a sliver of gold. How I wish you could raise the shade that hides you. 5 a.m. Anyone else here like it at 5 a.m. in the morning?
No.
No one? No one? No one? No one likes it at 5 a.m. except me? Nobody?
What?
Oh, good. We'll have to talk later. The moon is asleep. The moon has dark blanket pulled up around its ears. Only the bright blonde hair leaks out the side. The wind inside my mind are at rest too. No dust flying across the surface of my brain. On marriage. Sometimes the gap is so wide, I think in terms of the Grand Canyon, where the deep, bottomless distances are wide from side to side. Sometimes we are one skin and one frame. My blood runs in your veins, and your blood runs in my veins. The tide comes in and the tide goes out. Yes, the pulse of life is both low and high. We are two identical stars apart, pinned to separate spots, but giving forth the same light and glow. Twin stars close together, off in our own space in the galaxy, away from the busy Milky Way and changing neon signs. Together yet apart, the same glow uniting us, connected also by our special light. I wish I was a spider. I wish I was a spider. Able to spin a web out of my being, my inner being. I'd step back and watch my insides glisten in the sunlight. A Navajo weaving a rug, an artist making a mosaic, balanced pattern. How I wish I could make a balanced art piece out of my insides. Non-involvement. She goes to the zoo, looks at the animals, but does not feed them. She goes to the art museum, sees the statues, but doesn't feel them. She went to the beach, but never allowed the salt to sting her. She shook his hand, but never held it. The world is filled with music. The world is filled with music, the music of the earth spinning, the swishing of the waves and the palm branches, music in our souls. There is music, if only we will listen. My thoughts. My thoughts I take on a leash for a walk and make thoughts heal, not bite others or roll in the mud. My thoughts I pat on the head and scratch behind their ears in a loving way, so as to bring out a loving response. Here's one I wrote, 1,000 years ago at boarding school, called Caravan. A caravan has to rest, to sprawl and let go. I too must let my thoughts graze. When the caravan meets a new land, the pace changes. There are times when I feel the stream gathering. I see you there, round-faced moon, peeking in my window as I sleep. Your face so perky and round, but you choose not to send warmth. Just look at me with your very, very round face. I'm cold and I could use warmth. A yellow blanket of your rays would feel so nice. But you choose to just stare with your perfect face. Dark side. Am I reading too fast?
No.
Too slow? Okay. Everyone can hear me? Good. Okay. I'm going to check in. Dark side. My boat is in a harbor these days. It's rocking gently and not traveling any place. It feels good to just be in a harbor with the charts folded and the compass ignored. There aren't any train whistles haunting me in the night. I'm not concerning myself about the morning when distant winds will call me and faraway sands will beckon. Questions of future plans, buzzing flies I brush aside. I'm not looking around the bend. There are no winds pushing me to move. It's enough now to be very much nestled here in this harbor with my sails folded and my engine off. Soft waves lapping against the side, so very soothing. My boat is in a harbor these days. It's rocking gently and not traveling any place. I'm being very present and focused. Good talks, like playing badminton on a slightly warm summer afternoon. You'd hit wide the plastic birdie, ping, then I'd return, ping, and so back and forth, looking to the air, satisfaction when connecting with our ideas and thoughts. I miss the back and forth of our ideas and thoughts on a slightly warm summer afternoon in the country. Planning. Stitch, stitch, stitch. So many stitches to hold my life together. Basting, pinning, resetting, fittings, daydreaming, turning slowly around in front of the mirror. I think of sewing machines that can stitch so fast, and I think of embroidery with patient, calm women where time is not the issue. My life, combining colors, seams, so it will fit, so it will be smooth. I remember as a child making doll clothes. The pleasure was in the making, not in looking at the finished product. It's nice to vacate, to cut the line that holds you to the shore, to do nothing. Oh, how nice to do nothing. To waste time, to splash minutes around lavishly, to do nothing is so refreshing. To be with stillness, not to be afraid, to be very still and quiet. I remember being still on the living room rug, and only then puppies would come and play. So here I am on the 36th floor. There are no puppies allowed, but there's quiet and music and stillness. Just one little star, or is it a sheep in the sky? But mostly empty sky, empty of golden moonlight, empty of smiling moon face, just one lonely lost star, lost from its galaxy family, all alone in the cold metal sky. There's a mosquito of worry, buzzing, 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 buzzing around my head. I swat it to leave, but it won't. Nothing but its drone is heard, the room filled with its noise. Wish I could run out and leave it behind, but it clings and follows me all over the place, buzzing louder and louder. This one I wrote when I was 12, and when people say, tell me a poem you know by heart, this is the only poem I seem to know by heart. I don't know why, but it's the only one. Our decision. We sat on the sand and facing each other, for we wanted to construct a castle. She poured on sand, and I poured on sand, until we had built our decision. Time, a galloping horse, is whirling me along so fast my hair is wound and I'm a bit dizzy. We gallop through my calendars, I flip pages on the run. What happened to slow days when crickets serenaded? Or days we could say, isn't it nice everybody's away? Or days when there's plenty of parking. Chicago. Chicago is a massive, metallic monster, walking hard and fast with its pointed tails arched high, forming skyscrapers. It crushes flowers and earth. Its eyes are red blinking lights, and its voice desperate. The wind, its breath that bites into you and chews you all up. Black, ugly smoke pours out of its mouth, like ugly, hateful words. Skin bacteria are sinking into this beast, but he doesn't stop. A child runs up to it and is ignored. Her tracks are quickly covered up by his commotion. Buckets. I bet you'll be able to relate to this one too. A lot. Buckets. When I was 6, I had a tin bucket that was colorful and rusty. It held sand, but not water. Yet Bucket and I went to the beach daily to enjoy the sun, water, and sand. Now I'm old. I have a make-believe bucket, a bucket list, of all I want to do before I die, before I kick the bucket. As when I was 6 and had a bucket, this bucket has holes, so sometimes when I put in it, it leaks out. I cannot control what stays and what leaks out, because often sand leaks out with water. So there's never been a bucket in my life that holds all I want to hold. Living on the seesaw of fate. The grimmer the news becomes, the more sweet your kindness is. The more losses I endure, the sounder your presence feels. Living on a seesaw of fate, the up balances the down, but the down bumps on the hard concrete surface of the playground. Find. There is a place where time is stopped, where the gulls glide with the wind and the myriad ripples of the water flicker like a flock of birds. A poet lived here and then died, leaving his inspiration. The tide comes in and out, leaving its treasures. We too came here for a while and left, leaving behind golden moments. Now this is the last poem of mine. And then, but there's much, don't get up and leave. There's much more good stuff to come. A poem is an unexpected house guest who arrives with a suitcase he immediately unpacks and settles down. A poem is an unexpected house guest who recalls old experiences, yet suddenly giving them new light. Yes, a poem is a house guest, for after he is gone, it seems as though he is still there. Bingo. Poetry was so nourishing for me, I wanted to share it with others, in schools, and inspiring children to make poems. One of my tools was the terrorizer. And here's what I would do. I'd bring in a wastebasket and ask everybody to brush off their negative thoughts. Oh, I can't write poetry. Oh, my poetry's no good. And I'd dander it into the wastebasket. And then we'd take the wastebasket off and we'd come back. And I would suggest everyone carry around a notebook and a pencil to stray thoughts. And here are some pictures from my school events. I would teach them how to use imagery. We would have a metaphor bee using the something is like something else theme. There were 2 teams, and the kids would select a name for theirs. They stood facing each other, and it was your turn on the team. You'd come up with a metaphor. Then you'd stay in the contest. If you couldn't, you had to sit down. We also played poetry musical chairs, where landing in the idea chair requires the child to contribute an idea to the group point. I had a basket of poetry making ideas that I would bring in for the kids. Scotch tape, a hat, different pictures, stuffed animals, musical instruments, you named it. Anything to get their creativity flowing. We would start every session by going around the room. Each kid would stand up and say, "My name is Ruth, and I am a poet. My name is Judith, and I am a poet. My name is Leslie, and I'm a poet. My name is Irene, and I'm a poet. My name is Norm, and I'm a poet." That's how we started every session. Get the idea in their head that they were poets. Younger students would say lines of poetry out loud, and I would write them down. I would type up the poems so that they could take pride in them. When we read the poems at the end, each child who would contribute to the line would stand up and take a bow, while the rest clapped. Older students would work in pairs, alternating writing lines. We sometimes went to local coffee houses and did live readings. At the Institute, we put on a play called Up and Down and All Around, which was their poetry set to music. For adult classes, I have a tip box of pictures and angel cards with words and expressions on them. These could be poem starters during workshops. I also worked at settlement houses, and that's a recreation center for poor people in Philadelphia and Boston with children of all backgrounds. At the end of the Department of Recreation summer project, we would have a big poetry reading party where the kids would read their work. There were refreshments and lots of applause and positive reinforcement for what they had created. I would try to publish the children's poetry whenever possible, such as highlights for children and other national anthologies did publish them. And also I'd create our own publications. For example, the Margaret Fuller Settlement House, where we created a magazine called Marker Murmurs. Here's a few poems from it. The Woodpecker. A woodpecker looks like he has Indian clothes on. He wears a headdress and has olives for eyes. Woodpeckers envy penguins because they can afford tuxedos for daily wear. He's a hammer, hammering his house guest. Doesn't it hurt? His beak is a chisel and drills holes for windows. It is also an instrument keeping the same beat. It's like a road map's drilled to. For fun, maybe I'll drill a picture. He types for the president's secretary. What would happen if he pecked at petrified wood? A woodpecker's nightmare is to be pecking on a tree and have it fall down. My pen, and this is by a child who's 11 years old. My pen. On this page of pinky pink, I write my name in inky ink. I like to write my name in gold, but ink is all my pen will hold. And this is my favorite all-time poem that any child has ever written. I'm going to read it twice because I love it so much.
Okay.
To be myself. I like to pretend I'm a bird soaring through the sky. And I like to pretend to be a giraffe reaching up so high and lions roaring at everybody. But most of all, I like to be myself. Yeah. I want to read that one again. To be myself, when she was 11 years old. I like to pretend I'm a bird soaring through the sky. I like to pretend to be a giraffe reaching up so high and lions roaring at everybody. But most of all, I like to be myself. I taught in Catholic school. The classes were on the top floor of the building. The boys loved it because they could make noise. I tried to get them to associate poetry and fun, and that location really helped. Ooh. Uh-huh. I taught at a boys' school outside of Philadelphia that was for disturbed boys. The Mid-Atlantic Evaluation Association came to judge the school and asked the kids, "What's this poetry club all about?" And they were very impressed when the kids pulled out pieces of poetry that they carried around in their back pockets. Here's one of the poems that one of the boys wrote. Man is but a leaf falling from the past. The moon is the soft pillow of light. Ink is a poem in liquid form. A friend is like a favorite hideout. A word is a weapon of good or bad. A poem is a deep, harsh thought. A poem is a man with a mind of gold. Music. Another one by one of the boys there. There's music in the singing of the reed. There's music in the gushing of a rill. There's music in all things. If man had ears, the earth is but the music of the spheres. Now we're at a migrant labor camp where I studied law box literacy. That's each one teach one. And I studied how to teach the let me start again. I studied how to teach the migrants who did not know how to read their names or write, how to write. And that was they had time for that because normally they used to take care of the young people, but the Get Start and Head Start took over their roles. So they had time as old people to learn how to read and write. And this was my star pupil, Prentice Norwood. He went from not being able to read or write his name to being able to write. He wrote a poem. I took it to the newspaper. It was published. So how do you like that? He went from being illiterate to a published poet. Now, I've done many workshops in San Francisco, and Helen Dannenberg. Can you all see Helen?
Yeah.
Do I need to get a pointer, or can you all see her? Our head social worker here. She's given me permission to share some of her poems with you, along with her illustrations she created for them. She was sorry she couldn't be here today and read them herself. My bathroom hanging on a hook in the bathroom. My bathrobe hanging on a hook in the bathroom. Pink, fluffyish drapes. Does it look at home? Is it a friend? I have had it for a long time. It was a gift from a past love. We fought the day he brought it to me. I was with him. He hemmed himself for me, and I remember that. It was such a lovely thing for him to do. So sweet of him to do that I could use the gift. What do I think now when I look at him? Another robe I have made for summer was bought for me by my father. I was with him too, and he didn't like my choice. A Japanese-style kimono in a store in Florida, where mostly everything was not to my liking. Who will buy me my next bathrobe? By Helen Dannenberg. Here's another poem by Helen. My favorite item of clothing. My Japanese jacket. I'm home. I'm resting in the comforting warmth of my dark blue jacket. Its seams are getting frail, the white stuffing beginning to show, like gray hair coming out of a dark head for a cold, tired night and chilly, foggy mornings. It wraps me in its puffiness. Telephone. Slocum, 63897, met Hyacinth, 32521 in kindergarten. Slocum 6 was more shy, less out in the world, frightened of many things. Hyacinth 3 was brasher, more confident, flashier. They continued together in elementary school, went to the same junior high school, but in different classes, and like two streams coming together, melted again on the long subway ride together to high school in Manhattan. Hyacinth 3 insisted Slocum 6 meet her beau's friend Nightingale 9, 8860. She did. And in the sometimes way of shy people, married young and married him. Hyacinth 3 married later. Slocum 6 and Nightingale 9 divorced. And now Hyacinth 3 is wife and mother to 3, grandmother to 4, and Slocum 6 lives alone, works full time, and is still trying to figure things out. By Helen Dannenberg. Spring. Here's another poem by Helen Dannenberg. Pink and blue, blossoms against sky, so soon now already. You're coming. I'm waiting. Sweet smell in the air. Burgeoning green promise. Here soon. My heart flips in anticipation. By Helen Dannenberg. Above the bus stop, birds circling against a gray sky, separating away and slipping back together. New birds joy amidst a kaleidoscope of two-tone gray. Blackbird shape, speckled skitter, and fall into place. Swooping and dipping, swooping and dipping. They light on the wires that crisscross the San Francisco sky. By Helen Dannenberg. So, these are examples of poems written to express people's inner creativity. No rhymes are required. And spelling or punctuation doesn't have to be perfect. In addition to teaching poetry writing, I've also worked in hospitals doing poetry therapy and was active in the Poetry Therapy Association and helped to create the certification program. What is poetry therapy? It's using the process of writing poetry or poems which are already written to help people relate to their own inner spark. By writing poetry, one gets in touch with one's own strength. In hospitals, it helps people focus on their health issues and not so much on their illness. People are also in good springboard. Poetry is also a good springboard for group discussion. Whether dealing with grief, loneliness, anger, or other emotions, hearing one's own person's poems can create an opportunity to express your own thoughts and feelings on the subject. Sometimes it's easier to let someone else's poem speak for you rather than say the same thing for yourself. Poetry therapy is very portable. I could go into patients' rooms in intensive care and work with someone just as easily as I could have a class with 5 or 10 people. It didn't need a lot of equipment, just some pencils and paper. And I'm happy to tell you that sometimes I receive emails from patients that I once had who are now doing poetry therapy in their own practice. And here's a poem that one of the people wrote in a poetry therapy session called Cosmic Loneliness. There is a corner in my life no one will ever enter, not even you. Though I wish it so, perhaps you cannot. The fault may not be yours. Sometimes you wander close, so near, and then you flee. Though all else we share and are beloved, it may be too, within you too, there lies a place no one can go. Perhaps we are too frail, and with God only may it be shared. Incomplete am I. For in this corner my essence lies, this being you do not know. At the Institute of Pennsylvania Hospital, we did still more feelings into words, and then still more feelings into words. There was no end to the flow of the poetry. Here's one of the poems called The Beginning. People are always the same. They start and won't finish. A man once come and said, I'll paint your house. When the roof was only half finished, he quickly left and never returned. People love the beginnings of things. A new acquaintance is so far superior to an old one. A new friend or a lover is something wonderful, which an old friend has lost. The beginning of school is enchanting, but it grows dull. People lose interest in what is not new. They don't finish, but move quickly on. Spring is the beginning of a new friend. It carries and fills minds with new colorful thoughts. People love it as a new friend or as a beginning. With it comes the warmth which has been missed and is welcomed. They breathe in the air and dance with happiness at the beginning. Here's another one that was written in one of the poetry groups. I also had a box, a shoebox, where people could stick poems in. And I remember one time someone put a poem in and said, I'm a bird with a broken wing. And then a couple of weeks later, open it up. The bird can hobble now, but the wing is still not fixed. A couple of weeks later, no poem because the bird's flown away. People who won't listen. When you want to talk to someone and he won't listen, you keep your words inside and then go tell someone else. I go tell someone else I can trust. Talk your problems out to yourself, the wall, the dog, the radio. If I go to someone and he won't listen, I get depressed and feel invisible and alone and half dead. Sometimes I feel dead all the way. I feel no one cares. Frustration. You feel like a clenched fist filled with deadly bombs. Things aren't serene and simple the way they used to be. Feel like you're about to go on stage for the first time and you're tense and flashy. Fears seem to scratch on the back door. I like that. Fears seem to scratch on the back door. Will they get mad and come in after you and squeeze you to death? Going away only subdues them, but they are still there. If I do sneak out, they will find me anyway and stand around and poke me. Inside you feel like, what the heck is going on? First they take your coat and watch you, and still you don't want to hang around to find out. Where these fears put them. They might kill you. And the last one, Sue's song. Sue's song fills you up and leaves you no place to go, like hanging from a cliff. You're neither high nor low. They take personal inside feelings and make jewels out of them. They let you know you're not alone. They reach inside to the blood and bone. When I took the following pictures, I got permission from the people to use them. In the Bay Area, I have done poetry therapy with cancer survivors at Mount Sinai. I've also worked at Highland Hospital and General Hospital. At General Hospital, a chaplain organized me to meet with students during their residency in a gorgeous library where we did poetry therapy in the hopes that they would carry it on in their practice. I was poet in residence at Duke Medical many times and did lots of poetry therapy with surgeons as therapy for stress reductions. What I did with them, I told them, I said, when you come to class, get out of bed on the side that you don't normally get out of bed. In other words, trying to get them to loosen up a little bit. And wear mismatched socks. I showed them how handy it was to write poems on their prescription blanks. And odd moments. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay. Today everything's on the computer, so I don't know if that would work anymore. Poetry therapy. Breast cancer, a journey. As on a train, where I sit on a window seat throughout. Different people come and sit by me for a while. Some sit but don't talk. Some bring beautiful flowers, some return. It's a long train ride to recovery. Many stops, many delays. Sometimes this ride is jiggly, sometimes smooth. I like it best when someone comes and sits by me. Grieving. One silver tear crawled very slowly out of the corner of my eye. Slowly it crawled like a soft caterpillar down my cheek. Currently I run a poetry festivals at the Cultural Integration Fellowship twice a year, in which people bring poems to share or just come to enjoy. and they have beautiful refreshments. Twice a year, I'm also the featured poet at Sacred Grounds Coffee Shop, which has the oldest open mic in the country. In February, I'll be featured at La Promenade, a restaurant, library, and theater space here in the city. I'm busy submitting manuscripts for publication and writing new poetry. I wrote 45 poems in the month of August. Now, I want to thank you so much for coming and joining me in the magical world of poetry. You've been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful audience. You've listened to my poems, the students' poems, and poems by people in the hospital. I hope this has brought back memories of when you've enjoyed poetry. I don't have a cold throat. Maybe your grandmother read you some. I hope I've convinced you that we're all poets. If you come up with a poem of your own, please put it in my box, 626. I'd love to read it. And now, any questions or comments?